Welcome to Inside the Force. I'm Greg Grunberg, a.k.a. Snap Wexley.
It is a period of Star Wars mania, as new movies, comic books, novels, and TV shows populate the system. Fueled by their love and passion for the galaxy far, far away, two exceptional geeks tap into hundreds of holocrons in order to bring you the knowledge and insight of all things Star Wars. Come and join them as they go inside the Force.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Force. Dave Cottingham with Casey Cooley.
Hello, everybody.
Coming back at you with a brand new episode where we dive into the galaxy far, far away with all kinds of news and insights from Star Wars. Mm-hmm. We are going to be talking about some news from the films, of course, TV, which is not really happening too much right now.
Yeah.
But this episode, we also got some book reviews to do. We both finished up our respective books that we've been reading and or listening to. And I've already moved on to another one that I'll talk about. Really excited about that one so far. So, and then, of course, finish up with all kinds of little stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to mention, I want to mention about Celebration.
Yes.
So, as we go, let's get into some latest movie news. Case?
Yeah, well, Rogue One. There's still some little pieces of news coming out with Rogue One, of course, as people are asking questions and getting new cool answers. If you're watching Star Wars show, Pablo Hidalgo is kind of releasing these, I forget what they're calling them, but these Rogue One behind the scenes. Rogue stories, yeah. They shot a lot of behind the scenes on the side of Rogue One, and they're releasing it as little episodes. And those are pretty cool, pretty nifty, talking about little behind the scenes trivia, that kind of stuff. Like this past week was about the sets of Rogue One and kind of how they harken back to the originals, of course, and all that's awesome. Doug Chain's on there talking about it. Doug Chain's amazing, brilliant man. Mm-hmm. And but I don't know if it was on I think it was actually on the Star Wars show before that. I can't remember if it was before that or if I just read it also.
Last week was with Filoni.
Yeah. Where they did you see this thing when they talked about Wedge in Rogue One?
No, I think you read about that. Then
I must have read about it. Yeah, because what it
is, he was like
he's
maybe sick or ill or something.
Well, here's the thing: Wedge is in it.
He's in
Rogue
One.
Him, you hear him. He's not in Battle of Scarif because he can't be in the Battle of Scarif because if you remember in A New Hope, he sees the Death Star for the first time. He says, "Look at the size of that thing."
So yeah, you're right.
He's not at the Battle of Scarif. He is on Yavin 4. You hear his voice over the comms, or announcing throughout the hangar, saying divert something your attention to Scarif or something like that. They got the actor who voiced Wedge, because I actually didn't know this little trivia, was that the actor that we see playing Wedge and the voice we hear, that's not the same person. The actor is British.
Yeah, it's Dennis Lawson.
Yeah, and the voice is American. And they got an American actor to voice over Dennis Lawson's voice.
In A New Hope and Empire and Jedi?
I guess all of them. I don't know. It's really strange. But yeah, I'll pull up the name of the actor who they have here. Yeah, I think I read it here. Yeah, so because people are asking why Wedge wasn't there. But here's the thing.
That is so weird.
This is very weird.
You're sorry.
David Ankrum is the voice of Wedge. I'm trying to see what they're talking about more.
In the original trilogy?
Yeah.
Or you're talking about Rebels? You're not talking about Rebels.
No, I'm pretty sure not Rebels. I want to look this up, but essentially we hear Wedge's voice
in Rogue
One. So he's on Yavin. He's on Yavin 4. But he doesn't just go with them. So they explain basically where he is in a sense, but not why he doesn't go with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw some tweets from Pablo about that.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's where you were reading it from.
Some tweets, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in A New Hope. He's Red. They called him Red 2. They didn't call him Wedge at that point. Red 2 in A New Hope. I'm trying to see if he was also in.
Yeah, he was in Empire, right?
The Voice, yeah.
Huh. That is
his
crazy.
voice. His voice wasn't used. Maybe they went back to the original guy, or he just didn't talk. I don't know. He did talk to us. I don't know. I have to look more into that.
He had a few. I mean, a few lines.
So maybe
in New Hope.
It wasn't
right.
Different of a sounding voice.
He said, "Look at the size of that thing," and then he's like, "I'm on."
Was the voice of Wedge Antilles in Star Wars?
Thanks. Yeah. Because then
he's the PA announcer, Yavin, directing the rebel fighters to the crucial battle scene on Scarif, and ending his speech with the classic line, "May the Force be with you." Oh, dropping stuff. So, yeah, man.
Weird.
Wedge is in Rogue One. But we don't
so they got Dennis Lawson to come in?
No,
he got the voice.
The voice, David Ankrum.
Okay, so, yeah.
Because Dennis Lawson has said he would probably
never do it again.
Yeah.
And they're obviously not... I guess they didn't let him use his likeness.
Right. Because he thought, well, they're just, why couldn't they just use footage? Because I think we even said in the last episode, why couldn't they just use footage of Wedge in the Battle of Scarif or whatever? Maybe we just talked about that outside the show. But, well, first of all, he couldn't be in the Battle of Scarif because that would contradict things. But also, Hidalgo, I think they looked into it because he said in his tweet, on his Twitter account that there really wasn't any extra footage of Wedge, that George Lucas didn't overshoot really too much.
Right.
That's why it's so rare to find the extra footage of Gold Leader and those other guys. But there really wasn't anything else of Wedge, so they couldn't do anything even if they wanted to. That was pretty cool.
That's pretty fascinating.
Cool. In other film news, let's transition now to episode 8. Still, really nothing.
No,
nothing with episode 8. It's still pretty quiet there. Cody, who frequents Buddy Cody Geiler, frequents Reddit, and so especially Star Wars Reddit threads, and he read on there that someone is that the rumor that the trailer for episode 8 will be on February 10th. I think that rumor also had a list of specifically what shots are going to be in the trailer, so I'm pretty sure it's not real. I'll see how that could get released.
Yeah.
But other than that, some people do think it might come out on the Super Bowl itself. I don't. You don't either, but we don't believe it will.
No.
Pretty sure the first thing you'll see it will be during celebration.
The Super Bowl's this Sunday.
Yeah.
So
I doubt. That'll be a complete surprise, but I don't think we'll see any trailer until celebration. But who knows? Been wrong before.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll see.
Do you want something before celebration? That's the question. I almost feel like this too, though. I almost feel like they may release something and prior to celebration, therefore allowing some artwork to be displayed at celebration. You know what I mean? Like
another
like pictures of Luke and Rey, in episode 8, because if you see that before you saw any trailers or anything, you might be giving too much away, I guess, or something like that, or revealing too fast. But
oh man.
Although a lot of the artwork that we're seeing, especially in the badges, are from the previous movies, 7 and Rogue One and stuff like that, and the Rebels. But
they'll give them just like a couple. They wouldn't start the huge merchandising process until
later in the fall.
Later. So it's not like they would give like a 2-month head start on the marketing if they showed something now, and then we get something new in celebration. But I don't know.
I'm just talking about how they have banners everywhere and stuff like that.
The new banner of what Rey's going to look like,
right?
Which we actually have seen little things what she might wear, but yeah, I don't think so. I just think we'll get it. But I'd like to see something I guess so, because I would like to see whatever I can, but I actually am not pining for anything new. Like it's just great how they spaced it out and how we're getting little Star Wars things in between. It's like I'm so set on my Star Wars content right now. It's like I'm not itching too bad to see something new from 8, but if they did, I'd be very excited, of course.
And you're right about the timing, because like if you think about it right now, there's still a movie in theaters you can go see. Mm-hmm. They are, about to preview a movie that's in post, finishing up, and then there's another one that just started shooting. Mm-hmm. It's like you got all 3 phases going. Yeah. It's like,
yeah. Because speaking of that, you bring me to the next thing is the Han Solo film is started. I guess principal photography, technically.
You want to talk about title? I want to know a title of this movie.
I know. It's Red Cup.
Apparently, it is Red Cup.
But I thought that's just a funny shooting title. So one of the directors of the Han Solo film, Christopher Miller, because there are 2 directors. If you didn't know, there are 2 directors of this movie.
Yes,
the guys who did the Lego movie, I should say, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, tweeted the first photo, technically from the set of the Han Solo film, and the shooting title that they're kind of that they're using is called Star Wars Red Cup, which I think is hilarious. It's like almost like a party.
am I totally missing something? What?
Why Red Cup?
Yeah,
I see it as like a party boy, kind of like a scoundrel kind of a title, like Red Cup, like like a solo Red Cup, like you go to drink at party, use parties.
Oh, solo Red Cup. That's okay. That makes sense.
That's why.
That makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think about that.
There's a couple puns. There's a couple puns there. Solo Red Cup, and I think he's like a partier. Han Solo is probably kind of like a partier, kind of young, ruffian type.
The best part is he tweeted,
"Oh yeah,
Han first shot."
Yeah, there's so many puns in this. It's great. Han first shot.
Yeah,
and I was looking through here, like we were trying to analyze, because the pictures of the slate.
Yes,
of their clapper there, their slate that they use in their first shot, and like you can see here, they're shooting it in 6K, and you can see, because I love looking at that stuff.
Did it say what camera they're using?
It doesn't, but I mean, you can see what frame rate they're shooting at. You can see.
Did you know what Rogue One was shot on?
That was digital.
Yeah, it was a Lexus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can look at that. And I do usually will have that. It might have this one too. I don't know. But it's awesome. Super awesome that it started shooting. But, I don't think no actors I don't think are on set, really. And the main actors, like Donald Glover, Alden Ehrenreich, and Emilia Clarke, they're not there. Because Donald Glover hasn't even read a script yet, he says. This is report about a week ago.
We kept thinking that March was going to be the actual start date.
Thing,
so this has to be probably...
Well, you got a month till that time comes around.
That honestly could be just test footage, too.
Test footage, exterior shots, B unit stuff. So
exactly.
They're shooting it, but the directors are there, but they
special effects stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Plates. Now, did you see... I just saw it right before, about an hour before we started recording. There was... I think I was on Instagram or Facebook, and somebody posted a discrete picture, same thing as before we had talked about it on the show, but it was Donald Glover eating lunch with Billy D. Williams.
No, I've not seen that.
You haven't seen that?
No, that's awesome.
You can see someone like took the picture over their shoulder.
Yeah,
you can see him in the back, and it's like Lando meeting with Lando.
That's so cool.
Just like it says something like character.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
good. Cool.
I saw that picture. That was pretty neat.
I wonder what
it's pretty neat.
I feel like that would be a different conversation, different environment than Harrison Ford talking to Alden Ehrenreich, because they're totally different guys, but they're still very cool. Very cool guys. So that's exciting. It's just curious to see who Emilia Clarke will play. I'm sure it'll be an original character, but how her role fits in, how Woody Harrelson fits in, how that's just we don't know at all who the villain will be. And I'm trying to think, because I finished Aftermath, and Actually, Han Solo's in that a little bit, and then I picked Bloodline back up, and he's in that too a little bit. So I'm kind of thinking like, well, I wonder what the movie's going to be about, and thinking like, I wonder if the Kessel Run will be a big moment in that movie. Like I wonder if because maybe the conflict of the film and the Kessel Run will factor into that because why he would need to take that path, with smugglers kind of route, and it talks about, I feel like I read somewhere like Aftermath or something where he references that, right? That him doing the Kessel Run and kind of why he was doing it, and it almost made me think of like a great, bigger, grander conflict at hand that could be told in a different story. And maybe it's Han Solo, maybe it's this film that he's being chased by the Imperials, or he's whatever kind of thing, and maybe we'll see. If depending on how closely it lines up to the film A New Hope, maybe we'll see him dump his shipment by the Imperials. He gets boarded by the Imperials. Why the Hutts are after him, why Jabba's after him, that kind of thing. So it may explain that. So we don't know. We have no idea at all what the story is going to be about.
Yeah,
just young Han Solo learning to become a scoundrel.
Han Solo.
So that's very exciting. Very exciting time.
Very exciting.
So
again. For those of you counting at home a little bit on the Rogue One stuff, it has now collected $1.035 billion in the box office. I think it ended up as the second highest grossing film in 2016.
Sweet.
And then that has also been released. Now this is based on a Walmart DVD distributor talking about how Rogue One is supposed to be hitting shelves April 4th for Blu-ray and DVD. Now, usually, like The Force Awakens, you should expect the digital release a couple weeks before that. At least that's what they've been doing with movies now. You can get them on iTunes or through Microsoft Store or something like that, and then 2 weeks later, you can get them on Blu-ray. So
yeah, maybe that's what I.
They con me into getting both. I get the digital version right away, so I can watch it on my TV. But then of course, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray. Anyway, so that's really it. And then of course, Star Wars Rebels is still on hiatus for. Is it one more week? I think it.
Yeah, I think you're.
No. See, tomorrow's the 3rd, 4th, 11th. Is it coming at the 11th or 18th?
I think it's next week.
Next weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So nothing really new about that. That's they're going to be continuing the Mandalorian storyline. That's going on with that. So we'll get into some just novel talk now, really.
Yeah. Actually, it was some book news.
Oh.
Just a little bit over just some excerpts from Empire's End.
Yes.
Talking about the Aftermath trilogy, that kind of stuff. And the promotional posters released of the characters the main characters from those series. Ray Sloan and Snap Wexley's mom, Nora Wexley.
Yes, and those posters are actually Barnes & Noble exclusives.
And to be honest, because I just finished Aftermath, and like I didn't want to look at those posters because I didn't want to. I thought maybe it would spoil something. Who knows? But they showed it on Star Wars After Show.
Yes.
The Star Wars show, and it kind of did spoil a little bit. I mean, not huge things, but it did spoil like Sloan, Ray Sloan. She is just Admiral in the first Aftermath book. But in those posters, she's Grand
Admiral. Wow.
So something happens there, Grand Admiral.
But maybe that happens in the middle book.
It might. It very well might. Life Debt. So I'll be starting that soon, hopefully.
Now I'm hoping, which I don't know, but I'm hoping that these posters don't come folded up inside because I hate because they did that with the Rogue One Catalyst book. Mm-hmm. It came with, or no, I think it was actually the movie.
What was it?
It was the movie adaptation book. It came with a poster, but it's folded up inside the book. I'm like, what the heck? This big crease down the middle of it. It's like, come on. So I hope they're just laying out, and like when you buy the book, you get you can get the posters or whatever. Yeah, so Empire's End is actually coming out on February 21st, which is funny because that's our anniversary.
Yeah, and you can actually go ahead and pre-order too. You can pre-order the Jyn Erso book and the Guardians of the Whills books on Amazon right now.
Oh, yeah.
And they both come out May 2nd.
And they do a pretty good job of pre-ordering early on that stuff.
And they're both very cheap. They're both like under $12.
Really?
Both
because I don't think they're big. I don't think they're really huge stories.
No, like Guardians of the Whills, that's like 200 something pages.
I bet you they're like those.
They're junior novels and they're
Smuggler's Run.
Well, the Guardians of the Whills kind of is, but I think the page count for the Jyn Erso one's actually more like Ahsoka length.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the Guardians of the Whills is kind of short like that. But
nice. So anyway, we've been reading. Well, you've been reading, actually physically reading.
Your ears were reading it.
Yes, my ears were reading. I did Heir to the Jedi, which was I think, if I remember correctly, that was the third.
That was pretty
book
early
released.
Yeah. And they announced at the same time, I think, as some of those other ones, because that was in that
it was a New Dawn, and then it was Tarkin, and then I think Heir to the Jedi was the third book that came out in canon, and then you just finished Aftermath, the first book of that trilogy. I will go ahead and give my review, and this is somewhat there's one thing I do want to talk spoilery a little bit. But overall, I have to say, if I'm ranking this thing, what do they do? 4 stars or 5 stars? I think they do 5 stars.
I personally like 5 stars.
5 stars?
Yeah.
So if it's 5-star rating, honestly, you know what? I should do it at the end. I should do it at the end. Anyway, I liked it. It's very different because, when I remember when it first came out, I was reading some reviews about it that people were really not into the whole first person point of view, because this thing is entirely told by Luke's point of view. So which intrigues me greatly. It's and me too. And so you don't get anybody's other thoughts that are going on, the people that he's interacting with, the characters. It's all only what he's thinking they're thinking, kind of thing. So now it was read really well, except I do gotta admit, if you do the audiobook in this thing, the way he plays Luke's voice, it gets annoying.
Is he trying to be like a young
kid? Yes. And
power converters.
Yes. He gets very young, and by like halfway through, I'm like, okay, I want like Empire Luke and Jedi Luke and
puberty. Come on, let's go.
And what's funny is, and this does take place very, very shortly after episode 4. So, he's struggling with, how do I train to be a Jedi? I don't feel the Force much anymore. I don't have Ben Kenobi or Obi-Wan anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, now, what's interesting in this book is, so basically the storyline is as the rebels are just kind of hiding out, looking for a new base, and for those of you who don't remember, Empire Strikes Back takes place 3 years after A New Hope. So there's a big gap there where they've got to find Hoth and establish Hoth, which I'm sure eventually we will get some kind of storyline with that. Anyway, this mission, this is really crazy. There's a given species. The species is a given, and her name is Drusel, and she's being held by the Empire, and she's like this genius mathematician. Now, by using math and probability and all that stuff, she can basically predict like the whereabouts of, say, a fleet or basically after the Battle of Yavin, like she can basically predict where the rebel fleet is going to go based on math. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so Leia and Akbar tasked Luke to go and basically free her in a sense and take her back to her family. in exchange for her to help them with where the Navy fleet will be and predict where, based on their, their attacks, their rebel attacks, the probability and how fast or whatever. It's pretty crazy. It's
pretty wild.
So in order to do so, though, he has to kind of go incognito, so he can't just fly his X-Wing.
Yeah.
So they get this guy that is kind of a rich family to kind of lend him his ship. It's called I think it's called. Now, am I thinking of something else? I don't remember. It was called the Wave Rider. No, that's DC's.
Yeah, that's
shoot, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, the guy's daughter is the pilot. And oh gosh, now I can't remember her name.
It's okay.
It'll come to me. Nakari's her name. So Nakari, obviously, what's really neat about this is they actually have a romantic connection in this novel, right?
Very good. Ray's mom. I'm saying it now. Yeah. Saying it now.
Actually, that's impossible.
Dang it. She's was she Rhodian?
No.
Oh, okay. I just want to say it. That's one. All right.
It's impossible.
Okay.
So anyway, she obviously helps him. They go. Now here's the thing. What's really cool about this too is where they have to go free her is on Coruscant. So Luke does go to Coruscant.
That's pretty cool.
And yeah, they're hiding out under the levels, and all that stuff. And then there's a point where she comes out and they are able to get her and free her and take her up on the. Now here's the thing too. Again, Luke again is not really familiar with his lightsaber, right? So he's still using his blaster and Drusel, this given, it's funny because sometimes she sees the lightsaber and she starts talking about, are you a Jedi? And so she has some experience with Jedis and that he should be able to use the Force. And I don't know, it's pretty neat how, and so through with her as they're traveling, because there is a point where it was really good and kind of in the middle part really got a little slow because there was like 4 or 5 chapters really where their ship gets damaged and they have to go get repaired and they park somewhere and basically they're like just in hiding in their hotel room for like 3 or 4 chapters where they're just like talking, there was a romantic thing going but they actually at this point they actually help Luke. They both actually help Luke kind of, like take a noodle out of his food and try to move it and with the Force and talk about the Force and but there what's really neat. So I'll fast forward. So anyway, I don't want to tell too much of the story, but unfortunately I am going to spoil a little bit of the ending. Oh. So you might want to skip a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
But as they're getting to where they're delivering her to her family, the Empire finds out obviously that what ship is the one responsible. They don't know necessarily it's Luke or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But they know that the Drusel is the one that they helped get free, where her family is. So the Empire basically dispatches a bounty, and when they show up there's like 12 bounty hunters like waiting to. And so he's in the ship battle, flying above the surface, and finally he lands on this island. So it's more like a tropical place, I guess. He lands on this island, and Luke and Drusel and R2's been with Luke this whole time, and then Nakari, they all get out and fan up. And Nakari's this huge sniper, this awesome sniper. So they all fan out to kind of pick off these. So they were able to kill 2 of the ships or whatever, but then like. It's funny because they say there's a description of all like the beach, like all these bounty hunters landing their ships on this beach.
Oh, jeez. And
they get out and they're, and so as Luke is kind of distracting them, Nakari's picking them off, one at a time, and he's killing all these bounty hunters. So unfortunately, again, spoiler, Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Do you want to be spoiled on this?
Sure. That's fine.
Okay. So, again, fast forward a couple minutes. But unfortunately, a bounty hunter does kill Nakari. Mm-hmm. That's why it's impossible. She's Rey's mother. Yeah. But and so there was really this is one of the best. This is the best. This really made it for me, I guess, in a sense, because up until then I was like, okay, this is okay book. Mm-hmm. Well, he feels her life go away, and he references like Obi-Wan feeling when Alderaan gets destroyed. You know, he's like, I don't sense her life anymore, and he like gets furious and hatred.
Oh my gosh!
And he says, I started feeling cold, and I was like, oh, he's freaking turning the dark side right here. Yeah. It's like he's like, I don't know why, but you know, I just. And he said he felt this power that he's never felt before. And I was, it's really neat how he's describing this. But then he ends up calming himself, and he takes out this. The next thing I will say that I was really upset about was, not really upset, but do you notice in the books you've read recently, like I have definitely in Tarkin, and definitely in this, and definitely in A New Dawn. I don't know, in all the books that I've kind of read, I feel like whenever and I definitely have in Bloodline, which I'm doing right now, but I feel like there's so many, whenever they want to be, I guess, nostalgic, they always bring up something from the movie. You ever notice that?
Like reference a moment?
Yes. Whenever they're trying to reference something, it's like they're picking out of the movie. It's like, you know, like Bloodline, it talks about when...
they did that several times.
Several times. Yeah. And in this one, it did it several times, too, about, you know, first time meeting Leia, and first time meeting Han in the cantina. And
well, with Aftermath, it's, you know, not really many of the original characters are in it, so... But, you know... It does still happen. They still,
which to me, that's okay. I mean, but see, like referencing the movies just so I can make that connection. Like, I don't need that. I mean, maybe some readers do. What I like and what I need is I like it when characters pop up, like in the when I'm reading, like to know whereabouts of other characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was so. I could have swore that of the 12 bounty hunters, one would have been Bosk.
Yeah.
Or one would have been... Because they talked about a Trandoshan.
Oh, yeah.
And they talked about a human. And so I was like, oh my gosh, Dengar? It's Bosk?
Well, that sort of happens in Aftermath. Okay. I've told you about those moments where some bounty hunters are talked about. And I won't say what, because I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they didn't... Surprise. So unfortunately, again, it wasn't because he kills them all. So none of them were that because they end up in Empire Strikes Back. Yeah. So I was real bummed by that. I was bummed that they didn't have like a known bounty hunter. Like, I just wanted to hear him say, "Oh my god, there's Bosk."
Like Cad Bane.
Yes.
Cad Bane.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, just something. Give me something like that. You know,
that'd be cool.
So anyway, but you know what's really neat about this, if you really think about this, because now that she's for the rebellion now, this given right. It kind of explains how this small little band of rebels can be one step ahead of the Empire. Like that whole math thing, and you know, that's predicting. Because when they were in when they were escaping, like they ran into some TIE fighters and they kind of jumped. And she's like, you know, there's a 99% possibility that they know where we're going, and he looks like, what do you mean they don't know? He's just like, well, you know, there's only so many things. Yeah. And when we get there, you were only going to have like 12 minutes before they find out where we're, you know, it's like.
Yeah, it's very Sherlock kind of thing.
Oh my God, it's so
that
cool.
Happens in Sherlock kind of. It's like, you know, there's a thing in Sherlock where he says, it's kind of a tangent, but like, you know, even the most random thing in life can really be boiled down to deduction and like figuring things out by knowing the person and knowing how they would think and what choices they probably would make.
Yeah,
and you know, going through that kind of that route. So that's cool that there's a character like that in Star Wars.
It's totally cool. So
created.
So in the end, when she's like basically committing, because you return to my family, I'll commit to doing this stuff for you whenever you need. It's like really neat how to think that they have that somebody in there for over the next few years. So anyway, overall, I would say again, the insight to look into Luke's mind, a very young mind at this point still, was pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
I would still probably, I'd probably give it 3 out of 5 stars.
But it got
average.
better, though.
It did get better. The ending, now, again, the Nakari thing, the death was very emotional for him, because he there was a point in the book where he's standing over her lifeless body, and he's having these feelings, and then, he ends up taking the body back to her father. I mean, it was pretty somber ending, but it did make them, because obviously that had to happen. I mean, I even was as I was reading, I was like, this girl's got to die.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless they just part their own ways. But I mean, they kissed several times, and so it's But Luke, you're a Jedi, buddy. You can't be doing this stuff. So, but he's not. He's traditional.
Yeah.
So, overall, loved it. Not loved it, but I really, really liked it. And I'm just glad I read it. So, Aftermath.
Aftermath, which actually took me a long time to get through. I started it months back. It's just I got so sidetracked and this and that, but past week I just sat down and I just read.
It's a pretty thick book.
It's thick. It's 410 pages. So I was 100 pages for a good while. So like just this past week, a week and a half, I just
plowed through it. Yeah,
booked it out. So it was good, really good actually. Probably one reason why I didn't finish it sooner is because I probably didn't like. I don't think I liked it as much when I started it. Judging how much I like the book is basically I think back. How often did I put it down, or how often did I, not want to put it down because it's so good, or that kind of thing. So like with Catalyst, like I never wanted to put that book down.
Yes.
Like I wanted to keep reading, so it was so good. Aftermath, the first 100 pages, it just I feel like it took a while to really get into the story. It's a lot of introducing all these little characters, which seem like such small characters. It's about some rebels stumbling upon this big imperial meeting on a distant planet, and the meeting is like all the big imperial heads, like Rey Sloane, who's now popping up in a lot of Star Wars books. She and other Imperials are discussing the future of the Empire, because this is about 6 months or so, probably less than 6 months after the Battle of Endor, but since then the Empire is just they're just being destroyed, and they're losing bad. So they're talking about if they should just give up, if they should retreat and rebuild themselves, or they should just plow through and try to defeat the rebels with what they have. Because they still have some big Star Destroyers. They're still formidable presence, but they do not have the motivation or the resources like they used to. So talking about that, and the rebels, like Wedge is in it. He's in the very beginning, and he's kind of he's it's not like a spoiler. Wedge is in it. He stumbles upon the meeting that the Imperials are having, and then like you're introduced to Snap Wexley, although he's just a kid at this point. He's not any affiliation with the rebels, but his mother's in it. She's a rebel pilot, and some other little characters like a bounty hunter here, former Imperial there. They all kind of band together to try to go after the Empire. So it's somewhat of a small scale moment that turns into a big scale moment, but it takes a while to lead up. And probably one thing that kind of hurts the book starting off, I grew to like it later, but every couple of chapters or so, there's what's called interludes in the book, and they seem very random. It's like about 2 or 3 pages of just a glimpse somewhere else in the galaxy with some other characters. Like in the beginning, it shows you're on Coruscant right after during the celebration that we see in Return of the Jedi, and when they're tearing down the statue of Palpatine, and it's right after that where we see the Imperials come and they just murder and kill all the civilians that are basically causing chaos and destroying Palpatine's statue. That's an interlude. But we get, that's really cool beginning of the book, but we get more of those random little moments, and some of them are less significant than that. We get this, we get a thing with a bounty hunter in one, which is cool, but it has nothing to do with the story. We get one with Han Solo, which again is cool, and it turns out to be important for Life Debt, but it doesn't have anything to do with the story in this book. So there's a lot of these, and it happens throughout, and it kind of breaks up the pacing of the book. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. So. But as soon as I got past like page 150, the next 100 or 260 pages, it was great. I loved it. It was more action, more fighting, more dramatic. With Snap and his mother and these other little characters that you're growing to like. Even on the Imperial side, Rey Sloane and her conflicts with the other Imperials, deciding what to do. Like, it's really exciting. And then like a big battle ensues at the end, and I found myself having a hard time putting the book down. So it got really good there at the end. I'm excited to start Life Debt. I got to go get it and start to read that. But it's ended very, very well. Really liked it. And there's couple in regards to kind of connections to the other films. It does have those moments, and there is some really cool Easter eggs that have huge implications for characters, other original characters in the stories. And I won't say what it is. Go read it, because it's a really cool surprise. You have to really pay attention to what you're reading. But there's somewhat of an appearance, some kind of an appearance of an original character that did not expect. And it was really cool. So definitely go read Aftermath. Some people kind of talked about, I remember when it first came out, how it was written. Like the writing style of this author, Chuck Wendig, has a very strange writing style, and so that turned off a lot of people. And yes, his writing style is a little different, and I actually noticed it, which is strange because I feel like I don't normally notice, very different writing styles. But this guy does have a different writing style, and his sentence structure is a little different, which you get used to it. It's fine, but it is a little difference, but it doesn't hurt the book at all. Go read it. Aftermath is fantastic. Out of 5 stars, probably 3.5, a comfortable 3.5, maybe a 4, but a comfortable 3.5. It is quite good. It just has a rocky start, I think, to me at least. Very good book.
Yes, I will start Aftermath as soon as I finish the current book I'm doing, which is Bloodline. I started that this week. And I am, just a preliminary shout out right now to it, I am really loving this book. Now, real quick, I think Aftermath, so Aftermath takes place shortly after episode 6, right? Yep. And not quite to the Battle of Jakku.
No. Which
is a year after.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of battling still going on with that. Now, Bloodline goes beyond that, obviously, and takes place roughly, I want to say I heard it was 6 years before Force Awakens.
Yeah, it's 24 years.
Yeah, after, 24 years. So at this point, a lot of questions have popped up in my head right now. So that's why I'm so intrigued. Now, I will make this claim that I know maybe possibly could turn some people off. But I think you'll agree with me. At least what I've experienced so far. Now I think I'm 6 or 7 chapters in. This feels very much like the prequel trilogy because it's very political.
Yeah.
Because there is a Senate now again. There's a lot going on with it.
Yeah.
There's that feeling of not corruption but failing.
Stalemates.
Exactly.
Stalemates. Yeah.
There's clearly a 2-party system going on, very much in our same world now, which didn't really exist in the prequels. At least they didn't talk about it existing because there wasn't any other government to really compare it to. Because it's basically again, it's not a spoiler or anything, but it's right now there's what's called the populists and the centrists. Mm-hmm. And the populists are more about the current state, which is a republic of the people and just representatives and what's best for the people. But I think they do believe in a higher grade of military, I think, right? Or is that the centrists?
The centrists are more militaristic.
More militaristic.
You
because they're actually more
figurehead.
And they're more about kind of what the empire was.
Yeah, the structure.
But not corrupted.
Right, not by fear.
Not by fear, yeah. Correct. So there's that going on, which I thought was very interesting. And Leia, of course, is back to being a senator. And what I found, two things I found pretty interesting in here is one, what I'm guessing the reason why it's called Bloodline is because and I don't know why it's been why it hasn't been years before this, but 24 years later, they're now talking about handing over a certain birthright from the Bail Organa family to her. And that's why, like, at this point in the book where I'm at, she's questioning whether or not, because she's not part of the bloodline, whether or not she should get it. And then another thing was there's a lot of talk in there. She talks about her mother and her father, but then, like, I recently just read that she is acknowledging that she knows she's adopted. But you were saying that's she knows that basically up until or at some point before Return of the Jedi, but not until after Return of the Jedi she realizes that Padme is her mother. Yeah,
she finds out somehow.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot. We've been talking about that since I asked Pablo that a couple weeks ago. But it's again, I don't want to turn too many people off saying it's like the prequels because it's more political, but it's very good. I mean, it's very, very good. And, there's plenty of action in there so far. Part of me wishes, though, that she had some Force training.
A little bit, yeah, just a little bit
more. I feel like, and what kind of makes me sad about just in Return of the Jedi when Luke says, you have that power too. Soon you will learn to use it as I have. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, she's going to be, she may not have to be a Jedi, but at least be able to, like, I've been waiting for her to, like, do a mind trick or,
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought would happen in the films, like in the sequel trilogy, like, she's playing this, political general, then, like, there'll be a very climactic moment in, like, 8 or 9, things are changing now, but or she'll, like, whip out a lightsaber. And like, she's being surrounded by bad guys, and you think she's gonna get defeated,
or at least just like force push or throw people out of the way. I don't know.
It talks about in Bloodline where she's a little better at using her senses with the Force. Like, I think she's in that casino, and she kind of talks about how, like, she can a little bit, like, kind of sense a little.
Yeah, playing sabacc.
Yeah, but she also has, like, just has a strong intuition on her own.
Correct.
She kind of relies on. But
yeah, that's true.
I wish the same thing.
But interesting things at this point, because it is before Force Awakens. You're right in the sense where you're telling me. So they are married. Han and Leia are married.
Yeah.
Ben is at this point still. But here's the thing: is like this is going to be another question that comes up because Ben is with Luke, but she hasn't been in contact with him for several months at this point. So who's to say what's been going on? And at what point does he turn and start, and how do they find out about it? Because Han is kind of doing his own thing. He's out, like, racing and got his own business going. And at this point, too, who knows how long, but he's not hanging out with Chewbacca either. Chewbacca's been on Kashyyyk back with his family. So it's like at some point they have to get back together because they end up getting the Falcon again in Force Awakens. So, and then right now there's no resistance. There's no I'm sure it's probably going to get there eventually.
Yeah, who knows? At the very end of this book,
I feel like it's going to be the formation of the Resistance.
Resistance and First Order.
First
we
Order.
might even hear of Knights of Ren and Kylo.
I feel like we're going to. I feel like it's going to get there. So
because going with the title again, I do feel like it will. Because I'm reading the book as well, and it will get even more so involved with like this idea of her lineage, her sense of bloodline. Because Vader's on the cover, like the silhouette. I think the silhouette of Vader, like the presence, the legacy of Vader as her father, and what that means for her, and what that will mean for Ben. Kind of like her transit. Because she talks a little bit about that, where how what that will mean, what that will do to Ben when he finds out, and this kind of stuff, and. It's so I think the idea of family lineage and bloodline will definitely play a huge part throughout the whole book, and maybe that at the end that might be like a big thing, like Ben finds out, and I don't know, grandfather, and finds out.
Do you think he possibly finds all that out from Snoke?
I don't know.
So I feel like that's something Snoke would use.
Yeah, he might.
To lure him.
So we might find a little bit more about Snoke in this. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, we obviously don't know who Snoke is now because that would have already been said.
Yeah.
If we, it's in Bloodline, more about him. But, I don't know. I also really enjoy the book so far.
Yeah.
It's really, really fun.
And I think we mentioned it maybe, but it's written by Claudia Gray, who did
Lost Stars.
Lost Stars.
Which I read.
Yes.
Which I did like.
Yes.
It was good.
Yes.
It feels very different from Lost Stars just because it's not young adult. Lost Stars is young adult and it felt like a young adult novel, but this is very like a normal adult Star Wars book. Very cool.
Very cool. So we'll as soon as I get done with that, it's kind of a longer book, so it might take a couple more weeks to get through, but because I'm listening to it on my drive.
Yeah.
But it's really good so far. All right. I think that'll do it.
A little news.
Oh, yeah?
Just Darth Maul's out, I think. Or is it coming out still?
Oh.
Is it still coming out?
It came out yesterday. Actually. Yes, it did.
Apparently Rathtars are in it. Which is kind of
really
interesting. But some video game news. That Visceral Star Wars game that they kind of shown some footage of, which looks incredible. There were some talks about it maybe being a Han Solo game. I don't know if you heard some of those rumors that it would be like a young Han Solo game, that it will be actually very closely aligned to the Han Solo movie, because I think it's being released around the same time as well. Well, there's some interviews with some sources, that kind of thing. That game has actually been changed a little bit, where I think originally it was going to be Han Solo, like a Han Solo smuggler kind of game. But now they're changing it to where it's a new character, but I think the villain is very similar. So this visceral Star Wars game, and if you haven't, like EA, not even a year ago, EA released a sizzle video of some of their games coming out, and it shows footage of this game. It looks phenomenal, very Uncharted-like to it if you play the Uncharted games. But that it's. It's gonna be very closely aligned to the Han Solo movie, is what it sounds like here. But it's not gonna be Han Solo. It's just gonna be another kind of smuggler type character, same scenario, same kind of villain. And
at least it sounds like it looks like it's like a campaign.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, so it's a canon story. It won't be a choose your own adventure kind of thing like some of these have been, like Knights of the Old Republic. So, E3 celebration, we'll probably get more information about that, of course. So stay tuned for that. This just looks like a phenomenal game. But also Battlefront, the sequel to Battlefront. There's some stuff about that the sequel to Battlefront might have a single player campaign. So there might actually be a campaign mode to the sequel to Battlefront, which was one of the huge criticisms of the first one. I still love it though. I just played it today. Actually, just played some Battlefront. And actually, John Boyega plays Battlefront too.
Really?
I follow him on Instagram, and he does these the Instagram stories, and he's like filming his TV, him playing it you can't see what his name is, of course, on there. Otherwise, people would friend him on Xbox. Yeah. But he's like playing as the heroes and villains, and he's really good at it. He's like smoking everybody. He's getting all these kills in the game. It's pretty cool. So I just love knowing that Star Wars.
I'm sure he wants his character on there so bad.
Yeah, no, yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
maybe episode 8 they'll have a DLC for the sequel to Battlefront.
Maybe,
and they'll have a episode 8 thing. So that'll be awesome.
They better do like a prequel version.
Yeah,
Clone Wars stuff,
absolutely.
Like all those different worlds. Mm-hmm. That's where it is. They're talking about war. That's the Clone Wars.
That'll be incredible.
Anyway,
very exciting.
All right, let's do some canon stuff before we wrap up.
So for me, from the Ultimate Star Wars, Characters, Creatures, Locations, Technologies, Vehicles by DK Publishing. We're talking about characters and creatures, specifically a creature, the OPC Killer. This is, well, I actually thought the name of this was Gooberfish from episode 1, and it is a gooberfish, but the profile doesn't really say anything about gooberfishes. But the name of that gooberfish, maybe that's just a nickname for that type of fish. I don't know. When Jar Jar says big gooberfish. But the OPC Killer is the fish in Phantom Menace that takes a chunk out of the Bongo ship that Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Jabba are using in the in Otogongo. So the OPC Killer, its only appearance was episode 1. Its average length is 20 meters, 65.5 feet. Homeworld Naboo, of course. It is a crustacean type of fish because, as you remember, it does have a shell type of thing. It looks kind of like a shrimp, honestly. Big old shrimp with a lot of teeth and freaky eyes. So it's got a very long tongue, as you saw in the film also. It uses its long tongue to lure. Oh, sorry, that's not lure. It uses its long tongue to attract a potential prey. Lure, I guess, is the same thing. But it's also got a suction on it too, so adhesive, so it adheres to whatever it catches. As you saw, it did that to the Bongo ship in episode 1. They are unafraid of larger predators, although they are completely defenseless against larger predators because it got taken out by a larger predator. By, what was that? The Sando Aqua Monster, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's a pretty short little profile here. But, yeah, the quote attached to this picture, of course, is one from Jar Jar where it says, big gooberfish, huge teeth. The OPC Killer. Cool.
And in the other book, absolutely everything you need to know, a little bit more about this thing. A male OPC killer carries its mate's eggs in its mouth for around 3 months. So it must not eat anything until the young are born.
So weird and inconvenient.
So weird. So also another quick tidbit, strange but true, OPC killers zip through the water by jet propulsion. They suck water in through their mouths and squirt it out from small vents at the rear of their bodies like a natural jet engine.
So they poop.
So they basically propel through pooping water. I guess. I don't know. No. Anyway.
That's cool.
So anyway, a couple little tidbits.
Very cool.
Oh, and then last one. Really, if eaten, young opies can chew their way out of a coloclaw fish's stomach. Now, the coloclaw is the
eel-looking thing.
The eel-looking thing that was kind of glowing in the dark. Mm-hmm. It can chew their way out of coloclaw's fish's stomach, destroying the larger predator.
I can see that because that is kind of a flimsy. It looks like an eel, so it looks very easy to do that. But the aqua sea monster, though, man, you can't get through that
massive.
thing. You cannot.
Yeah,
so many muscles.
Okay, everyone. Thanks so much for checking us out. He is Kryptonian1138 on Twitter. I am D Cottingham21 on Twitter. Of course, we are all over the place at Inside the Force. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, InsideTheForce.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. For Case Cooley.
Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for your sister.
So, you have a twin sister. Your feelings have betrayed her too. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Gosh, that's a good moment in that film. It's so good, and it's Leia related.
Yes,
of
course.
Together. So we talked about Leia.
Yes, of course.
I try to make it
Luke
all connect.
and Leia. The Skywalker twins. All right, we will be back next week with some more Star Wars talk on Inside the Force. He's Casey.
Goodbye, everybody.
I'm Dave, and may the Force be with you.
This has been a production of the 21 Network. For more great podcasts, visit 21network.com. To view additional content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/21network. Follow us on Twitter at 21network for the latest news and updates. The 21 Network, for the fan and all of us.